Stephen A. Smith just issued a formal on-air apology to Jalen Brunson. After years of harsh criticism, after doubting his ability to lead a franchise, he finally admitted he was wrong following the Knicks' historic championship run. But the exact words of regret he delivered might have left Brunson emotional. The New York Knicks were in full celebration mode after winning the 2026 NBA championship against the San Antonio Spurs on Saturday. On Monday, the Knicks went on a press tour to various TV shows around New York City, including ESPN's First Take. And when Brunson sat down across from Stephen A. Smith, the whole room felt the weight of everything that had come before that moment. Brunson appeared on First Take with Smith, Jay Williams, and Shea Cornette of ESPN in an interview segment where the Knicks guard discussed his championship run. But before any of that could happen, before the trophy talk, before the MVP conversation, before any of it, Stephen A. Smith apologized to Jalen Brunson for his criticism over the years and showed gratitude for winning an NBA championship with his favorite team. Brunson hopped in the studio to chat it up with Smith, who is a longtime Knicks fan, and Smith took the opportunity to apologize directly to the Knicks star for doubting him previously. It wasn't a mumbled, half-hearted acknowledgement either. Smith went full confessional. "Let me confess on national television," Smith said, addressing Brunson on the show, "because last year when y'all beat Boston, I'm on the court, and he just walks up to me and looks me in my face and goes, 'I'm not going to even say anything,' and just walked away." Think about that for a second. Brunson didn't even need to say a word. He just showed up courtside after eliminating Boston, looked the loudest doubter in American sports media square in the face, said absolutely nothing, and walked away. That was the troll. That was the message. And it stuck with Stephen A. all the way to Monday morning. That's what he does. Because he remembered that I doubted the brother when he was coming out of Villanova. He was in Dallas. I said, all right, the brother can play, but we getting him here in a 4-year deal in 2022. I'm like, this is not Kevin Durant. What the H-Hill are we going to do? And that was the full confession. Live. On camera. In front of millions of viewers who had watched Smith question Brunson for 4 straight years. But here's what made the moment even better. Brunson's response. Because he didn't hug it out. He didn't say, "It's all good, Stephen A. Water under the bridge. We'll see about that." Brunson replied with a laugh. 4 words. A smirk. And the whole studio erupted. A smirking Brunson responded during First Take after Smith said he wouldn't doubt him any longer. Though he did thank him for the apology. It was ice cold. It was unbothered. And it was the most Jalen Brunson thing that has ever happened on live TV. The newly crowned Finals MVP appeared relaxed throughout the interview, and even joked with Smith about some of the criticism he had received over the years. The lighthearted exchanges created several entertaining moments and showed that there was no lingering tension between the two. Instead, the conversation felt more like a celebration of everything Brunson has accomplished. Now, Stephen A. Smith apologizing to anyone, let alone on national TV, let alone to a player he had actively doubted for years, doesn't just happen. It requires receipts. It requires evidence so overwhelming, so undeniable, that there's no other way out of the corner. And to understand how Brunson backed Smith into that corner, you have to go all the way back to where this started. The year was 2022. The Knicks had just finished another frustrating season, and front office president Leon Rose had a plan. He wanted to rebuild around a point guard who had quietly been one of the most underrated players in the league. A kid from Villanova who had just announced himself to the world during a deep Dallas Mavericks playoff run. The Knicks wanted Jalen Brunson, and they were willing to bet big on him. In 2022, Brunson signed a 4-year, $104 million contract with the Knicks. And the moment that number hit the wire, the takes came flooding in from every direction. When Brunson signed that deal, Michael Wilbon said, "He's not a real one. I'm not even sure he's a real 2. Brian Windhorst argued Brunson was not going to be the type of player that will elevate them into contender status, while Bill Simmons mocked the move by saying the Knicks were nixing another offseason. But nobody was louder than Stephen A. Smith. And the wild part, Smith is a Knicks fan. This wasn't an outside critic throwing darts at New York. This was one of their own. Even Stephen A. Smith, who is unabashedly a diehard Knicks fan, said in the past that he doesn't believe in Brunson, with fans bringing back receipts now that New York has broken its 27-year NBA Finals drought. "I'm tired, y'all. The Knicks are acting like he's KD. Jalen Brunson isn't the answer. You creating this cap space to get Jalen Brunson. Is he KD? Is he Kawhi Leonard? All of this stuff you're going to because you're selling New York on Jalen Brunson. Smith said after the 2022 NBA draft, "Jalen Brunson isn't the answer. Those words are important. Keep them in your head as this story unfolds." Now, was Smith completely out of line? In fairness, at the time, many were skeptical, as Brunson had averaged 16 3-points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists per game during the 2021-22 season with the Dallas Mavericks. He wasn't a proven no-one option. He'd never led a team, and the Knicks had a history of overpaying for the wrong people and convincing themselves it was genius. But here's the thing. What Smith scrutinized was the manner in which New York approached the signing, and the fact that they were willing to bet their future on a relatively lesser-known player. It wasn't really about Brunson's talent. It was about whether this specific player, in this specific market, under this weight of expectation, could deliver something that mattered. Whether it was during Brunson's college career, his time with the Dallas Mavericks, his free agent signing with the Knicks in 2022, or the contract extension he received in 2024, Smith often questioned whether the star guard was truly worth the hype. That's years of accumulated doubt, years of subtle and not so subtle takes. Across First Take, SportsCenter, and every platform Smith inhabits, all pointing in the same direction. This guy can't do it. And then Brunson got to work. Brunson hit the ground running immediately after joining, helping New York end the 2022-23 season with a 47-35 record and make it past the first round of the playoffs. He averaged 24 0-points, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists per game that season. Still, the doubts didn't go away. He was getting it done, but critics kept moving the goalposts. First round, that's nothing. What about a real run? What about when it matters? Figures like Becky Hammon still had doubts about what he could achieve as the Knicks' best player. But since then, Brunson has seen a steady rise to superstardom, emerging as a perennial all-star. In just his second season with the Knicks, each year the criticism got a little quieter. Each year, Brunson made it a little harder to maintain the doubt. But the moment that really started turning the tide, the moment the receipts really started piling up against everyone who'd questioned him, came in May of 2025. May 2025. The New York Knicks are in the playoffs again, and this time, they're not getting bounced in the second round. They've just eliminated the Boston Celtics, the defending NBA champions, in what was already being called one of the biggest upsets of the playoff era. Brunson had brought the franchise back to serious playoff contention, getting them to the second round in his first 2 years, before gifting them their first Eastern Conference Finals berth since 2000 in 2025. That alone should have put the doubts to rest. But that's not the part of this story that the internet was talking about. The part the internet was talking about was what happened after the buzzer. In May 2025, after the Knicks eliminated the Boston Celtics, Jalen Brunson walked up to Stephen A. Smith courtside and delivered a message without actually delivering one. "I'm not going to even say anything," he told the ESPN personality. And then he walked away, just like that. No speech, no "I told you so," no celebration in Smith's face, just 4 words, eye contact, and a turn of the shoulder. It was so precise, so controlled, that it almost didn't register at first, and then it registered everywhere. Clips of Smith recounting the moment spread all over social media. People couldn't believe that Brunson had waited until that exact moment in front of a national audience to deliver a message using nothing but silence. Brunson had not forgotten who questioned the Knicks' decision to sign him in 2022. He had not forgotten the criticism of his contract, the doubts about whether he could lead a contender, or the suggestions that New York had overpaid for a player, averaging just 16 3-points per game in Dallas. He'd been carrying that memory for 3 years. And rather than fire off subtweets, rather than clap back in press conferences, rather than let it fuel any visible rage, Brunson just kept playing. He kept winning. He kept stacking up the kind of evidence that would make the eventual rebuttal louder than anything he could have said out loud. But the Knicks didn't win the title that year. The closest Brunson came to showing frustration was in the immediate aftermath of the Knicks' postseason elimination, when he dropped his stoic persona momentarily to back his coach after being questioned about Tom Thibodeau. The team came up short in the Eastern Conference Finals, losing to the Indiana Pacers. And for a minute, the doubters had ammunition again. The contract, once labeled an overpay, became one of the league's biggest bargains. After Brunson accepted a team-friendly extension in 2024, that gave the Knicks added flexibility to build around him. So even while the critics had one more year to work with, the financial architecture of what Brunson was building in New York quietly made the whole operation more sustainable. He wasn't just carrying the team on the court, he was structuring the blueprint off it. And when the 2025-26 season tipped off, everyone in New York knew this was the year. The roster was deep. The pieces were in place. New York finished with a 53-29 record on the season, securing the third seed in the East standings. They went 16-3 in the playoffs, rolling off 13 straight wins to get to their first NBA Finals since 1999. The machine was moving, and Brunson was driving it. The 2026 NBA Finals, New York Knicks versus San Antonio Spurs. And standing in Brunson's way wasn't just a good basketball team. It was a 7'4" phenom named Victor Wembanyama, who had just led San Antonio past the Oklahoma City Thunder in 7 games and was being discussed as a generational force of nature. As a skillful basketball player trapped inside an accountant's body, Jalen Brunson, all of 6'1", defied the basketball law of physics and slayed all perceptions. In the 2026 NBA Finals, in the 5th and final game, he was the best player, scored 15 of his points in the 4th quarter, and was officially crowned the Finals MVP on a floor in which he shared with a 7'4" alien named Victor Wembanyama. But let's not skip to the finish line, because getting there required something the Knicks had been doing all year: surviving. The San Antonio Spurs won the 5 first quarters by a total of 57 points, and led by as many as 29 in Game 4. The New York Knicks just kept coming back, erasing double-digit deficits in all 5 games, and winning 4 of the 5 to earn the franchise's first championship in 53 years. Game 4 was something the sport had never seen before. The Knicks came from 29 points down and moved to the brink of their first championship since 1973 by beating the San Antonio Spurs 107-106 on OG Anunoby's tip-in with 1-2 seconds remaining. It looked impossible early when the Spurs rolled to a 27-point halftime lead, but Brunson helped bring the Knicks back with 36 points, and Anunoby finished with 33. The Knicks completed the largest comeback in NBA Finals history in Game 4, erasing a 29-point deficit. Nobody had done that before. Not in a finals game, not even close. Then came Game 5. On Saturday, Brunson scored 45 of his team's points, 15 in the final 7, 43 of regulation, in a 94-90 road win over the San Antonio Spurs, to cap a 4-1 NBA Finals victory. The Knicks were down 31-15 in the second quarter after a disastrous offensive start. They stopped the bleeding but still found themselves down 10 with 8:21 left in regulation. However, Brunson scored 10 straight points himself to tie the matchup en route to a 21-7 game-closing run, down 10. 8 minutes left on the road in the closeout game of the NBA Finals, and Brunson scored 10 points in a row by himself, with the score tied 88-88 and roughly 1 minute left in the 4th quarter. Brunson connected on a go-ahead floater for New York, the floater that ended 53 years of waiting. Brunson finished with a game-high 45 points along with 3 assists and 3 rebounds, while shooting 14 of 27 from the field. He also went 4 of 7 from 3-point territory. Brunson is the first Knick in history to score more than 40 points in an NBA Finals game, surpassing the previous mark of 38 set by Willis Reed. Willis Reed, the man who limped out of the tunnel in 1970 and inspired a generation of Knicks fans. Brunson just put his name above his. Brunson starred in the playoffs, scoring at least 30 points in 9 games, including 39 against the Atlanta Hawks in the first round, 35 against the Philadelphia 76ers in the Eastern Conference semifinals, 38 against the Cleveland Cavaliers in the conference finals, and the 45-point masterpiece in Game 5 against the Spurs. It tied Michael Jordan for most points on the road in a finals clinching game. Michael Jordan, they're putting his name next to Michael Jordan now. All 11 media members voting for the Bill Russell Trophy winner chose Brunson. Unanimous. Not a single vote for anyone else. Not Wembanyama. Not anyone on the Knicks. Just Brunson. During the series with the Spurs, Brunson averaged 32 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, and 2 steals over 39 minutes. And when the buzzer finally sounded, Brunson was overcome with emotion, stoic throughout the regular season and playoffs while professing the most important game is the next one. And refusing to look past that, Brunson reached the point of the season where no games remained and he was on the winning side. The tears of joy were unstoppable as Brunson celebrated his first NBA championship with Dad, Knicks assistant and former NBA player Rick Brunson. The man who told the world nobody trolls him better than Jalen Brunson broke down in tears. That's how big this was. The New York Knicks are NBA champions for the first time in 53 years. The Knicks clinched their first championship since 1973 with a 94-90 win over the San Antonio Spurs in Game 5 of the 2026 NBA Finals on Saturday night. Let that breathe for a second. The Knicks' last title came back in 1973 when that incredible team, led by Walt Clyde Frazier, Willis Reed, Bill Bradley, Earl Monroe, and Dave DeBusschere, beat Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, and the Los Angeles Lakers in a narrow 5-game series. That's the last time this franchise held the trophy. And in the 53 years between then and now, New York had become a franchise associated more with heartbreak, bad trades, and missed opportunities than with anything resembling a dynasty. Stephen A. Smith was emotional shortly after the Knicks won the title in San Antonio. It was something he never saw coming, and he was glad to be wrong about the Knicks. "I don't even know how to put it into words, and that's my job," Smith said during SportsCenter. The man whose job is literally to find the words for things said he couldn't find the words because there are no words for 53 years of waiting. Brunson led New York to 4 consecutive playoff appearances, won the 2026 Eastern Conference Finals MVP award, captured the franchise's first championship since 1973, and earned unanimous NBA Finals MVP honors. Now add this, the same contract once labeled an overpay became one of the league's biggest bargains after Brunson also accepted a team-friendly extension in 2024 that gave the Knicks added flexibility to build around him. That money, the $104 million that Smith raged about on television, that Wilbon scoffed at, that Simmons turned into a punchline, that money bought New York a championship, and Brunson left even more on the table to make sure the Knicks had the pieces around him to actually win. His $113 million sacrifice brought New York a championship after so long. He will now be eligible for an extension after the 2027-28 season and can deservingly demand an extension valued upwards of $400 million. The man who was told he wasn't worth $104 million can now command $400 million, and nobody will bat an eye. Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and Josh Hart became the first trio of teammates to win an NCAA title and an NBA championship. 3 players who won at Villanova together, who then ended up on the same team in the NBA, who then delivered New York its first ring in over half a century. The story writes itself. The Knicks celebration will continue with a parade through the streets of Manhattan. 53 years, 1 parade. And back in that First Take studio, with the confetti barely swept up and the trophy still gleaming, Brunson sat across from the man who screamed from the rooftops that he wasn't the answer. And he said 4 words, "We'll see about that." For Smith, the apology was an acknowledgement of that journey. For Brunson, it was simply another reminder of how far he has come. And for Knicks fans, it was one more moment to enjoy during what has become the most memorable chapter in franchise history. If there was ever a moment for Brunson to revisit old criticism, it was after delivering the Knicks their first championship in 53 years. Instead, he responded to years of doubt the same way he always has, by refusing to engage with it. That's the thing about Jalen Brunson that nobody who doubted him ever fully understood. The doubt was never his problem. It was always yours. He never needed you to believe in him. He already believed in himself. And now, after the games, the comebacks, the finals records, the MVP trophy, and one very public apology on national television, the rest of the world finally caught up. The Knicks have had plenty of postseason heroes in their storied history. Jalen Brunson just surpassed them all. The legend of Willis Reed will live on, but Brunson has taken his spot atop Knicks postseason lore. On Saturday night in San Antonio, Brunson put his team, his franchise, and his city on his back and carried them to a title, one they'd been waiting 53 years for. So the next time someone asks you If Jalen Brunson is the answer, you already